What's up, everybody? Welcome to Barn Builds. I know there's a lot of people with a lot of questions about this swap. This is a 2018 zr2 gasser, and we started having transmission problems. As you guys know, that's pretty common in these things. Got tired of dealing with it. Plus, I was pushing close to 100,000, so figured it was time to swap it over. This is an L83 5.3 out of a 2017 Sierra. Been building it over the last year or so. Had some unfortunate circumstances. I had a mechanic that I paid up front to do the swap to help along with it, and when time came, motor hit the ground. He basically took off with the money, so I am in my barn. We cleaned out the barn, got both motors, both transmissions over. When I got the truck here, it was a roller. Motor was completely pulled. A couple buddies came over. We got the L83 mounted, and that's kind of where I'm at. I think we got it kind of situated in the spot we want it, but I'm trying to make a series on this build as thorough as possible because there's a lot of unanswered questions. There's one other guy that had done this swap, shout out Chris Vance. He had some issues with a couple groups and removed all his videos from YouTube. So here we are. Like I said, L83. I am running stock motor mounts with the current adjustable plates on them. One thing that I will mention, the OEM bolt is about a 1/4 inch too long. It does bottom out, so there's some play in there. So I will be looking for a replacement bolt that's about a 1/4 inch smaller, or shorter rather. And if I can't find one, then I'll probably just cut that one. One thing I will say, every car may be different. I put the motor mounts onto the block first, then lowered it in with a hoist. Seemed to go in a lot easier dropping passenger side first. At first, this bolt did not want to line up on this side, even though this side was seated perfectly. But we managed to get to work. As far as the oil pan goes, you will need to run a LT swap oil pan. There is not a lot of clearance, and even with the swap pan, there is not a lot of clearance for the axle there. But it does fit. There's plenty of room back here. I think this is where we're going to want it. Like I said, I'm going to have to pull it back out because those bolts were too long, but for right now it's just seated in there. Where I'm starting next will be fuel lines, which I may pull the motor out first and get those bolts situated before I do this. The reason for that is I need to do this high pressure fuel pump. In order to do that, you want to make sure that it's at top dead center. I do have the spark plugs out on this side, but obviously with all the wiring, I'm not able to see the plug to see if the cylinder is all the way up. So I probably will pull that before I get after that. I'm going to see how much of the L83 lines I'm able to use, and at least get them kind of ran through the tunnel before I drop the transmission into it. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. So yeah, I had a lot of people that were asking on a couple different groups about the build and the swap, so I guess I'll start with the motor. Like I said, it was a pull from a 2017 Sierra. We got it in, ripped all the accessories off, pulled everything down, pulled the heads off. I ordered the DOD delete from Texas Speed. Along with that came a cam. We did valves, dual titanium valve springs, chromoly push rods. What else did we do? Obviously, billet valley cover. Roller rockers. We did do the roller rockers. The bearing on the OEM rockers on these are known to shred and cause problems. So I figured get that out of the way. We went with a roller. let's see, what else do we have here? Once we got the heads all on and reassembled, I am running stock fuel rails. I'm running LT1 injectors in those fuel rails. Just to give a little bit more fuel. I figured why not. I wasn't sure if the injectors that came with the motor were worth a shit anyway, so why not just put some new ones in. Got the fuel rails in. Got this part, kind of difficult to find. It is a one-time use part, so if you end up pulling rails or pulling your valley cover to DOD delete on a swap like this, you will need to replace that fuel line. Let's see, what else did we do to this thing? Bottom end's pretty much stock. I did, like I said before, Current Performance makes these adjustable motor mounts. That is how we're getting it to seat. I am running the Current Performance swap harness for this. So I will be running a stock E92 ECU out of a Silverado or Sierra. Not a standalone system. I'm hoping once all said and done, everything works as it did when it came from the factory, and the truck will just be as it was before I ripped it apart. But you know how that goes. We may or may not get it to work that way, but that is the plan for now. Yeah, a little history on the truck. I bought the truck back in the end of 2018. It was one owner before me. I think we had 17,000 miles. I put a lot of miles on the truck. I commute about an hour or more to work every day, and I've got a ranch that's about 5 hours from my house here that I take it out to pretty often, especially during hunting season. So it got a lot of miles on it quick. I started getting the transmission shutter around like 40-something thousand miles. Of course, you know, dealership just flushes. There is a service bulletin on it. Just put new fluid in it, kept running it. It seemed like it would fix it for a little bit, and then it would go straight back to having the shutter. So, of course, once it got out of warranty, or out of the factory warranty, it decided to start crapping out and became more of an issue. So, here we are. The Multimatic shocks shit out probably about 60,000 or so. Started leaking pretty bad. I'm running Kings front and rear, Deaver pre-runner pack in the rear, Kibitech billet upper control arms, and I've got a set of tie rod sleeves from Level Up. I do have a set of sway bar in links from Level Up. I just haven't got around to it quite yet. It's sitting on 35s. I've got glass in the front. They're taken off. I'm going to be sending them to paint. You can see them over there in my parts pile. And I've got bedsides that I haven't even started yet. That's another mess for another time. So yeah, that's pretty much for that. I have an LT1 intake manifold and throttle body off of a Camaro SS. And then I also have a ported L86 manifold. I had both because I was worried about clearance issues with the L86 manifold, but clearly that is not an issue. I will probably run the L86 for a couple reasons, but the primary reason being that the LT1 throttle body is angled downward, so I would have to run a spacer in order to clear the accessory belt in the front when the L86 is already set up to run out of the truck. So I will most likely just run the L86. I don't see why I would want to run the LT1. The L86 also will give you a little bit, it is a higher volume manifold, so you will get a little bit more out of the power band and higher RPMs from what I understand. Alright, so I know I said I was going to be thorough in this video, but I went ahead and turned it over while it was in here, got it to top dead center, got the fuel pump installed, fuel line installed, and then the other fuel line installed. These are supposed to be torqued to 22 pounds. I don't know what they're torqued to. I just guesstimated on it. These are supposed to be torqued to 18 pounds. I just did the old finger over the spark plug hole trick, turning the motor over until I felt compression. Also, if you just set your fuel pump into the valley and just turn the motor over, it'll drop down when it's at top dead center. I wasn't sure if that was a true indicator or not, but I set it in there and did the finger compression test, and they coincided. So yeah, got that all on. Got these snapped back on with my clips. Now I'm running my fuel out the top. So I'm going to try to run the L83 lines back as far as I can so I can at least get my trans in, and then see where I'm going to need to run adapters for AN lines. But that's where we're at right now.